Hey y'all, so here is a little kitchen update for you guys. Hi bud. He's hungry. It's almost his dinner time. So this is a kitchen update. I haven't been intentionally holding out on you guys. We have just had so much going on with the kitchen and it has taken so much longer than we had expected it to take. The trim carpenters actually just left and they are finally done. So you can see here, we got a new dishwasher. The one that we had in place was not panel ready. So we got a new dishwasher, we got that put on. The dishwasher still hasn't been mounted yet. That will get done hopefully next week. And then I'm so glad that we decided to panel the refrigerator. I think it looks so good. And when everything's painted, it's just all gonna blend in and it's gonna just disappear. So really happy with that. Obviously still need paint. You can see that right here, we need electric and those two places over there. So that was supposed to be done yesterday and I don't think it's going to get done until probably Saturday at this point. Like I said, you know, these contractors, they have other jobs and they're bouncing back and forth and our jobs have taken, every single job has taken longer than the contractor had anticipated. So just kind of is what it is, but everything's looking pretty good and I'm really, really excited for paint. So we got some unlacquered brass hinges, which actually, I'll take that back. They are not unlacquered. I could not find non-mortise unlacquered brass hinges. So I ordered solid brass lacquered hinges and then took acetone to them and delacquered them. Really, really simple process. You can see here that the trim around the window got done as well. That will all be painted black. And then the glass washer got installed. That was my husband's one request and he let me redo the kitchen. So I can't really say that that was a bad deal for me. And honestly, initially I thought, gosh, I just don't want that on the countertops. I want everything to be really, really simple. The only thing I really wanted on the countertop was the air switch for the garbage disposal. But honestly, I don't think it looks that bad. It doesn't bother me that much. That is just the stopper for the drain. And we are still waiting on the flange here. The unlacquered brass flange is on back order and you can see the patina that is on the unlacquered brass sink. So it was, when we put it in, it was more shiny like this. I hate all the water spots and I really need to clean that off, but it was real shiny like it is over here. And then over time, it leaves rings and spots and it ages. And I really, really liked the age look of it. I know it's not for everyone. It looks used. I'm not going to re-shine it. I could if I wanted to with something like Brasso, but I like the look of it being patinaed. So that will remain as is and we'll just continue to patina more. The faucet is also unlacquered brass. This section right here, there were a couple pieces of stone that were broke on install. Most of you guys probably know, but soapstone is a very, very soft stone and there's just a couple pieces, excuse me, that broke along the veining and there was just not a lot we could do about it. And I'm very thankful now that we had 2/3 of a slab of stone left and we were able to complete the backsplash with that same, I think it's like the same batch of stone, I guess. So I don't love this seam right here. I put the paper towel roll right there. It just kind of is what it is. There wasn't a whole lot we could do about it. So I'm just not gonna lose sleep over it. This trash can will go. I'm going to get a rectangle trash can that butts up to this cabinet right here and looks really, really streamlined. Another question that a lot of you guys had was, why don't you move this whole cabinet over and use this space right here? And while that's a great idea, and it most definitely crossed our minds, To completely tear out this whole cabinet and rebuild this whole section for roughly 6 inches of countertop space just didn't make a whole lot of sense for us. We would have to do something right here, and then we would have had to do a new cabinet right here just to bump it out a little bit, because if we would have bumped it out too much, it would have closed off the walkway here. So it just wasn't practical cost-wise, and we weren't gonna gain that much from doing that. So that is the reason why we chose not to bump it out. And we did have to add some trim. So the countertops that were here before, they were thinner granite on this side, and then this side over here was tiled. So when we went to demo, they removed the plywood that was underneath, and then the stone was set on top of that. So it was a little bit thicker than this stone could allow for. This only comes in, I think this is 3 cm. Anyway, the stone just wasn't thick enough to close that gap, because before it had plywood and 2 cm stone. So I think that looks pretty good. Once again, when it's painted, won't even notice. There's kind of a sheen on this because it just got oiled not that long ago. And there's some reflection from the window, but there's no under cabinet lighting on this side. There's only the under cabinet lighting from the range over here. There was no under cabinet lighting before, and we had that installed with dimmers. And then we had new can lights put in as well, and we added dimmers to those. I'm not a huge fan of can lights, but for the style of this kitchen, it's basically a galley kitchen, long and skinny. It's just more practical to do the can lights, and they were already here. So you can see that this also has a bump out. This was here already. They hated building that. They said it was very difficult, but they got it done, and it looks really good. And I have also had a couple people reach out and say, you know, why don't you replace that range? And while I would love to replace it with something like a La Cornue, I think I'm saying that right, I love those ranges. I think they're beautiful. I would probably get a black one with brass, and it would look absolutely amazing with this kitchen. However, this all right here is bumped out to accommodate this range, and this range is a 32-year-old Wolf, and it is awesome. I love it. I mean, it's just, the appliance guy, when we were having some issues with it when we first moved in, that was unbeknownst to anybody, but he looked at it and he said, this is just a step below commercial. So I love this range. It boils water in about 2 seconds, and I absolutely will not get rid of this range until it just will not go anymore. And then at that point, we could look at a different range if we get to that point. Hopefully we don't. These guys are made to be fixed, but although they are discontinued, there is a company out in California that sells vintage Wolf parts, in case anybody has a vintage Wolf that is in need. So we still have the retexturing of the vent hood. We're gonna smooth it, and we're going to use a lime washed paint on that, as well as these walls over here. And one other thing that I want to show you guys are these outlets are really awesome. So there was a little oopsie with the electric, and there was a hole drilled, and it had to be filled, and it still needs to be filled and resanded. But these outlets are really awesome. Pretty discreet. When the cabinets are blue, you won't even notice, because one thing that was non-negotiable for me was outlets in the stone backsplash. Didn't want it. So we placed them there, and then here and here are where the plug molds will go for underneath the cabinets, and that will be the source of power there. So overall, I am so happy with the kitchen. I cannot wait for it to be painted. Honestly, I think the kitchen getting painted, the cabinets getting painted, is just going to be the ultimate wow factor for it. So anyways, we decided also to go with a really low profile trim up there because I didn't want to take away anything from the stone, but there was a slight gap in between the ceiling and the stone. This is all one piece. This whole section is one piece. You know, they called me when they were doing the fabrication, and they were like, we really need to put seams right there, roughly right here. And I was like, I do not want to do that. I really don't want there to be seams kind of right at or above eye level. So they said, okay, we're gonna need to reinforce it. And I said, go for it. I just don't want there to be seams, as little seams as possible, and absolutely no outlets in the backsplash. So that is what we have got at this point. And it is a pretty overcast and cloudy day outside today. And the overhead can lights aren't on all the way. They're probably middle of the road as far as the dimmers go. So it's really not that dark. I think a lot of people were worried about it being dark, too dark, with the backsplash and the countertops both being soapstone. But anyways, I pretty much love it, and I'm so excited for it to get painted. We still have a little bit left to go, but we are getting there slowly but surely. So I hope this video sufficed for some of you guys. So many people have been asking, and I totally get it. But it's just been a real slow process up to this point. I really haven't had much to show. So that is where we're at. As soon as we get the cabinets painted, I will check back in with you guys on another update. Oh, and one more thing that I should also add. Obviously, this vent is getting replaced. This is probably the world's worst location for a kitchen vent, right in front of the refrigerator where it rolls in and out. Unfortunately, we just have to work with that. So we still do need the floors fixed over here in this area. So floors are gonna be dead last, and then we will get them to replace this with a wood vent cover, and it will just blend into the floor and you won't even notice. But short of totally moving the HVAC vent, that's the best option. And why it's there is probably because this was not the initial layout of this kitchen back when the HVAC system was put in, or at least I would hope not. But anyways, wanted to point that out because I forgot to mention that, and I know people will comment on it. So that's that. Floor is very last.